I think we're live now. Hello.
Go live.
Yeah.
Hi. How's it
Yeah.
going?
Good, man. How are
We're only
you?
we're I'm here. I am here, and that is an achievement. Someone just mentioned that this whole week felt like it was just one big Monday, and I got to agree, it does.
Mm, I respect that. I do. Um,
Yeah.
well, I guess we should start the stream like we always do. Who are you and why are you here?
Hi, my name is Paul Tchaikovsky, and I am a managed OpenShift black belt at Red Hat. As it says right here, I think. I think I have my lower third thing on.
Yes, you do.
Um, Why am I here? Because I like to learn from JJ.
Aw.
And when I'm not learning from JJ, I like to yell at him
It's true.
and tell him how to do things in angry ways.
That's about right. That's about right.
Yeah.
And yes, hi, I'm JJ. I'm a
Hi,
developer.
JJ. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
nice to meet you too. It's like we've met before. Um, yes, I'm a developer advocate for the IBM Cloud, and this
Congratulations.
is yeah. Um, on Thursday afternoons, Paul and I kind of come together and we do some nerdy stuff. That's in essence what we do. Usually something around
We try to.
Kubernetes. Try to, yeah. So usually around Kubernetes or cloud native or sysadmin stuff. Um, we've kind of we've come from the world of sysadmins, and we just kind of like sitting in that world because we can always be a little bit better. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So I guess we should ask. Uh, so OpenShift.
Hey, what do you call a sysadmin who knows Ruby?
What?
A chef employee.
Oh, that's sad but true. I did learn Ruby because I was a chef employee. That is true. Not gonna not gonna lie on that one. Um, but
What do you
okay.
call a sysadmin who knows Perl? Old.
Old. Yeah, I was about to say old.
Yeah.
Old sounded right. Um, cool. Well, today we're gonna do some neat scripting. We're gonna go back. Uh, we're gonna go back. Well, okay. We're gonna start here, and we'll see where it goes. Um, I take responsibility for a lot of stuff at IBM on the developer advocacy side. I deal with spinning up servers for the different client advocates and developer advocates so they can do workshops and all. And believe it or not, maintaining cloud infrastructures that are, in essence, ephemeral is actually pretty challenging. People like to say that, there is uh, pets versus cattle, or what is it? Paper plates versus China is what we're supposed to say now. I think paper plates versus China. Um, the and with you're setting up your infrastructure, people would like to have China and all that, but when everything is paper plates and you're trying to keep costs down, you need some level of administration. And the IBM Cloud, believe it or not, doesn't have a lot of tooling around it. I mean, they've got some major commands and things like that. They got Terraform infrastructure and things like that, but it doesn't actually fit the use case that we do. Um, so
So
we
I
have
feel
it.
like that's
Go ahead.
pretty common across, like you're specifically calling out IBM Cloud there, but I feel like that's pretty common across the cloud infrastructures.
Okay.
Like the moment you want to do more than stand up like some compute network
Mm-hmm.
and storage, the moment you have to tie those together to actually build something that you can use, you tend to quickly escape what is like obvious and easy, like in the native tooling, but
Mm-hmm.
also it doesn't take long to make it really difficult to do in even the more modern tooling like HashiCorp or like Ansible. So it is super common to end up with, mostly Terraform, but with some weird Bash,
Yep.
or mostly Ansible, but with some weird Python or whatever.
Yep.
So, I'm all for dunking on IBM Cloud, don't get me wrong, but it is a general cloud problem we're talking about, not one that's specific to IBM.
Very true. So So we have this IBM Cloud CLI that we're supposed to use to kind of interface. It's our main SDK through the CLI,
Mm-hmm.
and we have some policies for clusters, for instance, Kubernetes clusters, that we try to tag our names so people we know who's using what and things like that. So a previous employee of IBM created an application called MailMap. I don't actually know what MailMap means. I'm assuming it's a map of email addresses. And he wrote it all in Python. And basically, what it did is it compiled it, took a list of this MailMap app or MailMap YAML file, and then turned into a massive bash script of things that were out of policy. I commend him for what he did. Like, he genuinely made a really interesting application, but I just suck at Python. The more I try to play around with it, I get just not the way I think. So I spent a handful of hours with some teammates recently to kind of like unravel what he did. And we discovered that it really was just basically py YAML reading in a YAML file and then him dumping out a bunch of Python or a bunch of bash commands into a bash script. So I decided to open up a nice bottle of wine, and I tried to rewrite it in bash, and I did. And I ended up actually writing it in a pretty interesting way. And I wanted to bring Paul in here because bash scripts are pretty hard to read in general. So I was hoping to kind of pick his brain and kind of do some pair programming around this of what I've done, and maybe we could make it even better and or easier to read. Does that seem reasonable?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay.
Now, is this up on the TMUX server?
No, unfortunately it's on my local machine, which should be
All
now
right.
shown. So yeah,
Yeah, I can see it. I guess you'll be doing most of the work then, and I just get to ride along.
yeah, I just need, I'm using you here as the first person that I need to tell how this works to. So when I take this to a larger team of people, hopefully they'll be like, oh, this makes sense, kind of thing.
Sure.
Because that's kind of my goal. Because I want this to be easy for people to understand. Okay, so first
So
thing
before
first.
you show me anything at all,
Sure.
in like a couple of sentences, tell me exactly what it does.
What it
Like,
does.
not how it does it, but
Yeah.
like, what is the end result of running this? Do I get servers on the cloud?
No. So that is the basically mission statement here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a list of people and their cloud IDs?
Just we're gonna just use mine for obvious reasons because I don't want to give out that information.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
what we're gonna do is I've rewritten these three scripts right here: the cluster.sh, the vpc.sh, the cbd.sh, and I've been able to get the Nukem scripts to come out. The ultimate goal is I want to be able to run these scripts automatically, just like as a monthly Jenkins job or something. But obviously, I needed to get it working first.
Right.
But I also want to extend this because if you look at the difference between the cluster.sh, the vpc.sh, and the cbd.sh, they're very like, obviously we spend a lot of time on clusters. There's interesting thing we could get outside of the VPC stuff and the CBD, and there's a ton more services on the IBM cloud that would be interesting that we could kind of dig in after we've kind of created this slurping kind of system out of the YAM or the JSON. And again, I'm just bringing you in here to see, first of all, am I crazy? Second, is this readable? And third, where do you think we could go with this? Because I'm really curious to see it.
Okay. Well, let's just start digging in.
Okay. So we're going to just jump in head first. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm logged in. All right. There we go. Then if I go ahead and bring up, let's go ahead and just, the first thing first, we should probably look at the common, right? Because common is probably some good things that we should have across all our different systems. We have something internally at IBM called Blue Pages, which is our basically our main LDAP server. And then I have these two checks here to make sure that we have JQ enabled, YQ enabled, and make temp enabled. It seems like a reasonable thing to do before we run any scripts. Is there any other things you think we should have?
No, I think this is good.
Reasonable? Okay. All right. So let's actually get into the meat of this now. So we go ahead and we source. I actually do some date math here. Believe it or not, on a Mac, there is the normal BSD date command, but on a Mac, there's something called gdate, which is the GNU date. Yeah. So I got lost into that world last night. Officially, this works only on a Mac right now. But eventually I'm going to have to work this on Linux because we're going to run these on some Jenkins boxes. So that's just a note to make sure that I believe all we have to do is remove the G from date here, and that should work on a Linux box. But
so let me quickly, while you're doing that, I actually did some date stuff in Bash just the other day, and I think I have a like if Mac else thing for it.
Nice. Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah. Perfect. Because that, again, already extendability here, right, is that we want to be able to run this on my own laptop because I have multiple admins, right? So they would want to be able to run this to run themselves, or because they might have an account that I have access to, or they might want to be able to run it inside their own system too. So that would be awesome. Thank you.
All right. Now, what's the easiest way for me to give that to you since I don't have a
probably
screen
Slack.
shared?
Probably Slack is probably easiest.
All right. Let's do that. There's my JJ. I'm pretty sure I just stole this straight from Stack Overflow or some similar thing.
Wait, isn't that all just open source in general?
I mean, as far as I'm aware, if it's on Stack Overflow, you're allowed to copy and paste it and claim it as your own work. Isn't that how it works?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right. So, this is a little bit more intense than I thought it was. Okay. So if date.
Oh, hang on. That looks like date. That looks like gdate is the same as Linux date. So if you check, if you do if gdate exists, or if date exists, set an alias.
Okay. So that would be a good way to do that. Would be
or something like that.
Actually, if we go back,
or you know what we could do. You could just comment that what I gave you out, and leave it as like a future improvement, and we don't have to get like caught up in figuring out a clean way to implement it.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that because I don't have a Mac system, so I couldn't base it off that. But it looks like gdate is GNU date in on the Mac. So if you can do that, if gdate exists, use it. Otherwise, use date. You're probably going to be most of the way there, assuming that gdate is by default installed on Mac.
Yes, I think it is. Well, that goes kind of back to the common here, right? Where we could actually just do this right here to make sure the gdate's there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that works. Well, sort of, because that only works if it's on a Mac.
Oh, good point. Yeah, we wouldn't want that, would we?
Yeah.
Good point. Good.
Yeah.
Point. So, but I put a to do in there so we can at least come back to that later. Okay. All right. So
And then the other thing is you could also do a like if Mac run this, if
yeah,
Linux run that.
yeah,
And you can use, there's any number of ways to determine if it's Mac or Linux in Bash.
yeah, exactly. So that, but there we go. To come back to that. Perfect. But already this has benefited. This talk has benefited me because you're right.
Hey,
We,
I'm here to
yeah,
provide value.
there you go. So I
Wow,
did
that's a
want.
lot of make temps. So remind
Yeah.
me, make temp makes a file or a directory?
It makes a file in a throwaway. If you do make temp dash D, it makes a temporary
That's
directory.
right.
Make temp
Got it.
just throws a file in there. Now, you will quickly realize that I am not a real developer because I use just basically flat files to manipulate text inside of it. I know for a
Huh?
fact that there's a better way to do this, but I was just trying to get something to work. So, to your
Mhm.
point, I make a bunch of temporary files, give them really stupid names, i.e., these names, and but at least they're descriptive to do what needs to be done. All right.
Now, do you clean those files up afterwards?
Well, the
So
whole
what
point is
one thing?
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say one thing to think about is that I think by default make temp uses slash temp, and slash temp is world readable, writable. So you need to be thinking about if you're putting any credentials in there.
Ooh, good point.
On Linux, most Linuxes, slash temp will uh, clean itself out on a reboot. I think on Mac, slash temp does not clean itself out on a reboot. So that's another thing to think about. I think you can give make temp an alternative path.
Okay.
Um, so you could potentially do that. But um, you could also do make temp dir and then have a list of known file names instead of random file for each one. And that way it's only the temp dir you need to change to go from slash temp to, you know, slash my home.temp or whatever you want to end up using.
Very good
But just
points.
that's another thing to think about is like it's really easy to use slash temp,
Hmm.
but you need to be really cautious about what you're putting in slash temp.
Yeah.
Especially if it's going to end up on like a CI/CD server or something up in the cloud where um, that temp may be shared amongst other teams or other
Hmm.
folks, or simply just more exposed because it's on a CI system running in the cloud and Jenkins is hackable.
Yep. Exactly. No, you are absolutely right, and um, there's that to do. That's a very good point.
All right, so we haven't even got to any code yet, and I've already given you two to do. So I
Hey,
feel like I'm really getting it.
this was pair programming at its best, my friend. This truly
Yeah.
is. All right. So, first thing first. Believe it or not, like all enterprises, sometimes your services go down. So
Right.
I run that check boot pages to make sure that it's there,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like a reasonable thing to do before anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, then I use YQ here, and I extract out the email addresses from the mailmap.yaml, which is inside the directory. I'm not going to show it
Mm-hmm.
because those are email addresses. And then we dump that into just the temp file here, just so I have now a nice. Thanks, Faznuts. That's good stuff. Or is that Kevin? Is that you? That's Kevin, isn't it? Right? Peznots is Kevin, right? Isn't it Kevin?
Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
Kevin. How you doing, buddy?
That
Yeah,
fucking guy.
I know, right? God. Oh, you work with him now. You can yell at him through internal messaging. Nice.
Absolutely.
And next time we'll just
I
bring him
should bring
along.
up. I should bring up chat. Have you seen his blog lately?
No, I haven't actually. What's going on?
Yeah, you should just check it out. There's all sorts of cool shit happening over in his world.
Hmm. All right. All right, Kevin. I'll take the homework.
In fact, we should get Kevin on our stream sometime, and he can just like tell us about all the cool shit he does. Because
I,
it's probably way more exciting than us hacking away at some bash.
it's true. Let's hell yeah. Let's set that up. I mean, he's already been on once already, right? Let's follow this back up. I mean, homeboy does Swift programming just because he can, right? So, you know.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. See, I remember
I
things.
forgot about that. You remember things. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm not just a pretty face. I have ideas. There you go. Anyway, um, so again, I pull out the email and then oh, nice, perfect. He tuned in for Bash. Okay, so then what I do is because if you didn't know, IBM is a rather large company. We have
I've heard that.
yeah, we have a few employees. I don't know if you know this. So what I do is I actually check against you can't access this, so don't bother trying. It's internal. Um, I attempt to hit the API to see if the email exists, and then and it comes back to see if they exist, if they still are an employee or not. Believe it or not, that is a big problem at IBM because sometimes we actually have software and or projects sitting around for people who just don't work here anymore, and they literally burn
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just sitting there doing nothing. So at least with this way,
Now,
um, hmm,
I like this approach. The alternative, I guess, would be to send them an email, and if you get a reply from Mailer Demon, you know to delete it, delete them.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, actually, it turns out people's email addresses change.
Yeah,
With
there
it,
is that.
yeah, but at least with this one, the standard email that they give me, the aliases work on blue pages because you can look it up in any type of email, and then
Mhm.
every single employee has a CNUM, which is basically our serial number, and as long as that comes back with a 0, then I know, like I know if I can grep for CNUM, I know that they're inside of blue pages, which is our major instance. And then if it doesn't come back, as you see here, I dump that email into a file to delete. And then if this file actually has anything inside of it, it says, hey, there's some people in here you shouldn't have there. So then you go back to the mail map and you remove those people. I actually tried to spend quite a bit of time automating that using uh, YQ and trying to process the list of the people in that temp file just so it would immediately remove it. I ended up getting it
Mhm.
to be able to remove the email addresses, but if you didn't see, um, there is a format here, which is this, where it would remove the email key, but it wouldn't remove the identities. It wouldn't remove the block. I could never quite get YQ to do that for me.
Yeah,
So
because you need to block. You need to remove the whole item in the list,
yep,
right? Because so this is
yeah.
this is probably item number 6 or whatever. So it's the key you need to get for the array to delete it. Yeah,
Yep.
so this is where you start to have issues with trying to work with YAML or JSON
Yep.
in Bash. Is you're really restricted to what YQ and stuff can do.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty powerful, and I bet you there's a way to do it. But wait, hang on. You're using JQ here.
Hang on. We'll get
Why are you
there.
using?
We'll get
All
there.
right,
We'll
I'm
get
getting ahead of
there.
you. I'm looking
Yes,
ahead
you
of
are.
you.
Yes, you are. Yes,
All
you
right,
are.
cool.
So basically, yeah, back to that. Then it gives it out a file. The idea is that we should be able to come back to that delete file and edit it ourselves.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
then,
And now before we go
sure.
forward, why are you using files instead of just arrays in memory? Are you
Uh,
actually using these values in other scripts?
so the theory is eventually I might, um,
Hmm.
but I am not married to this. I'm not.
Hmm.
The way I thought about it was like what I did is, well, we'll see here in just a second. You'll actually see how I kind of grew this out. The This right here is a core portion of it. So if I come back over here and go back into shit, I just went brain dead. Mail map. So if I come over here and I do IBM Cloud KS clusters S JSON, this dumps, like, basically what happens is it dumps out a massive JSON array of a bunch of different information about the different servers that we have running out there. For instance, like this BOA Lab 16. You'll see that there's a name to it. It gives me a bunch of nice little stats about it. When it was created, for instance, how many workers are on there, which is actually really important to know, because it turns out that's where a lot of money is wasted. The last time it was modified for the master, so we know how long it's been around and if there needs to be any updates to it. Some really, really useful information. So what I did is I initially just dumped this into a file, right? And then I started running JQ against it to start getting me the different bits of information I needed out of it. So, like, for instance, here, I actually make a CSV out of this this JSON file to give me the information I need to run the main testing, which is the name of the cluster, how many workers are in there, and when it was been created. So then I can actually just do some if-then statements off of it. And for instance, if the cluster has more than 3 workers and it is not tagged, for instance, that is a big red flag and that needs to be deleted.
Mm-hmm.
So I parse through the file, which I guess in essence, now that you've mentioned this, there's no reason why these are files because they get deleted anyway. So we could, if we could figure out, I don't actually know how to do this with arrays in memory, but if we could figure out how to change these files into memory, this would actually go significantly faster. And then it would just disappear because it would be transparent, right? Or ephemeral. Am I wrong?
Transient.
Transient. That's
Yeah.
the word. That's the word.
I think that's the word you meant.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. But again, like that's something you can figure out later. Arrays in Bash are pretty easy to do, especially if all you're really doing is creating a list of things that you can do like a for loop over.
Yeah.
It's relatively straightforward. And that's just something you can see if it's worth converting to that at some point.
The interesting
now,
part.
one thing I'm seeing here that kind of reminded me of some stuff I've been doing is you're doing like a lot of work to try and like understand, read, and write like fairly standard data formats like JSON, YAML, or whatever in Bash. Something I have found myself doing, and I actually started doing this before I joined Red Hat, but actually writing Bash-like scripts in Ansible as like a series of tasks. And that way, any command I get from running just like the command inside of Ansible, I can filter with like JSON queries or YQ. I can like turn it into a list. I can regex it. I can do all of those things. And I've been finding it's pretty easy to read because you're listing them as discrete tasks. But every output then is basically just an object in something that's close to a programming language that you can work with. And then I've found that as they get more complex, I have the choice to switch a set of tasks to being a module that wraps around those commands and cleans them up. So I've recently we've got a managed OpenShift product called Rosa, which is basically OpenShift that's like a native service on AWS, to the point where it's even built by AWS. And there's a CLI for it. And because, at some point, if you run, 10 random commands fairly frequently, it makes sense to script it. And so I've been effectively wrote a thing that looked like a bash script in Ansible and then took the really common stuff and started wrapping that inside of a module that calls like the Rosa CLI. And that's been working out really well for me. So, and that's just a thought. And that way, anything else I want to do, I have Ansible there to do it. So if I need to spin up a bunch of like elastic load balancers, or I need to like query a database, I have the full power of Ansible there to do it for me. So it is both like local task running, but also the ability to do stuff remotely. And
Interesting.
I've been kind of enjoying it. I mean, it does mean that you have to run Ansible, which is pretty hefty as far as like Python and Python requirements.
Mm-hmm.
But you just jam them all in a Docker file like we were doing last stream.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really it's no longer all that difficult. So anyway, I'm not telling you to go ahead and do that. I'm just saying like that's just something I've found myself doing recently. And I have been enjoying doing it. So
yeah, maybe after we get through this, maybe you can show me a basic example of converting like a simple, like we can do it on the shared on the Tmux box, where you can show me the difference between walking through that, because I hear it, I can see the value, but I'm not quite getting the jump in my mind, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Like academically, it
yeah,
makes
I might
sense.
still have a few things in that repo that are the old way versus being in a module, so I can I can probably at some point when we're done here share my screen and take you through that.
Perfect.
Maybe if I can figure out how to share my screen. But
That's
let's come back here.
yep.
Let's keep looking through what you've done.
Okay. So I'll run this here in a second, and the way I'm actually going to prove this works is that I'm going to go ahead and remove or comment out this checking for 90 days first, because I want to actually show running it twice. Once when some machines will be, or fuck it, I'll just show it. Give me a second here. So gotta love SSO. Gotta love so many passwords.
Oh my God. My
It gets
favorite SSO is when it's not quite integrated. So every website you go to needs to re-ask your SSO questions versus seeing that you're already authed on like 12 other things that are using the same SSO.
Yep. Okay. So when I'm going to run this initially, you will see these three servers in the list not be there. But when I turn this back on for the look for 90 things have been around for 90 days, these will come back. Okay? Because it matches on Asgard Labs is one of my identities. And this one actually matches on Cube, which is a different conversation for a different time. But we will not see these initially. And then when I run it again, when I add the 90 days, as you see 160, 200, these will pop back up. One of the interesting things, something I learned while walking through this, was this while loop right here. I did not know this. This is actually something I learned while I was doing this. Is that
oh, I see. So you're looping inside the file.
Yep. So I read it, and then I actually use an IFS environmental variable with a comma, which actually means that it reads CSV files. And then when it reads it, it actually gives these three names to each line. So I was able to just do simple math. For instance, here, if the worker is greater than 3, it's a bad server. We should probably figure that out. Back to over here, if the epoch date is created is less than or equal to 90 days ago, go ahead, or greater than, no. Anyway, the math works. It will put that in there too, which I thought was really neat. This I didn't also know is that the way to get a while loop to read into it is you actually do a caret bottom here, unlike the for loop, which I thought was interesting. So
did you say a caret bottom?
A caret on the bottom here, That's a caret, isn't it?
Oh, right. Okay. So the caret, isn't that the little pointing up arrow?
It is. What's this? Is this the alligator?
Shift 6. Yeah, that's a well, it's a less than. And that is it is the alligator. I mean, so isn't it like the alligator eats means it's less than?
Yeah,
like whatever
one.
thing the alligator eats is
bigger.
bigger. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always thought that was also known as a caret. Huh.
No,
No. All right.
no. Like I'm sure the caret is very specifically the shift 6 or the hat. I've also hear the caret referred to as
Oh,
a hat.
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Well, my vernacular is horrible. We all know this. Um. Okay. So we're getting close to the end here. So then we can just run it and show it off. So then here, I read through all the identities, and the biggest challenge was actually this little section. And I actually made a joke about it in another channel between me and Paul yesterday, because I was doing this matching here, and it was matching not what I was expecting. But then we realized is that we have a list of what should be there, and we should have a list of what is there, and then we should have a list of everything that we expect to be there too. So we have 3 lists. So in essence, if we run this diff command, right, where we know this is the OK clusters to be there, we know these are the clusters that are there. The 3rd list is the clusters that should not be there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, what's with the asterisks around the cluster and identities? Is
So
that like when you're doing regex and you can use a different character than a slash, or is it like, and you're really just doing the equivalent of quoting it, or are you actually looking for some kind of wildcard match?
I'm looking for some kind of wild card match because I don't know where Asgard Labs is. It could be asgardlabs.kds.io here, right? It needs to match anywhere in the string. So we don't anchor it because it could be anywhere in the string that I'm matching against that identities and the cluster, right?
Okay.
So it could be asgardlabs.kds.io. It could be io.asgardlabs.openshift here instead. And I need it to match wherever Asgard Labs is.
Okay. I think I understand that. And it can be, so you're purposefully wildcarding in both.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe we could get around the identities here, but I know for a fact we have to wildcard at least the cluster. I know that for a fact.
So you should. I wonder if that would break it, but like, just for readability, like I find that I'm like I struggle with what that actually is doing. Would putting double quotes around them stop it from working?
I think it
Stop the
does.
wildcard from. No, so I think it'll be okay. I think it would be single quotes would stop the wildcard from happening. No, in around the wildcards as well.
Oh, okay.
Right, because what you're looking for is that whole thing as a string against that whole thing as a string, right?
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And I think you're supposed to do
Quotes.
double
Inside.
quotes anytime you're doing strings, even though you don't have to, because it can help with the fact that things aren't properly strongly typed anywhere because the world is a terrible place.
Yep. Yeah, it's well, if we run shell check against this, which I haven't yet because I'm bad, it's going to get real angry real fast because it's going to want every single interpolation. Is that the right word? Of these to be in quotes because you can eject malicious code. But we're not playing with that yet. We're not going to do that. We're just gonna keep moving on. All right. So I go ahead and then I get my final list of bad clusters. Then I run through that whole list again, and I create that script, which is the cluster-nukem.sh. And then my fun little check here is that if it does actually pop up, because my goal is to have multiple of these eventually, I want to see a little notice saying, hey, something shouldn't be here.
Okay.
All right.
Go back real quick.
Sure.
I just had a question around that grep command. Is that the caret greater than,
Crep. This
is
one?
that
Yeah.
is that meant to be regex? Is that like if the first character is greater
Yes.
than, or is
Yes.
there? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the typical diff command output. It just basically
yeah.
turns this human readable.
So the is great is the caret a default grep thing, or is it
Yes.
a grep with extended regex thing?
No, it's default. And same as with the dollar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're fine then. Okay. So it's not so you're not actually doing it as regex, you're doing it as a native like grep like wildcardy thing.
I think so. I think that's
Because
the
I know if
answer
you're
is
doing regex, you're supposed to do grep like dash capital E to say extended regex.
mm,
But I'm guessing without the dash E, there's probably like a non-extended regex that covers some of the basic stuff. So you're probably good.
yeah.
Um, it just wasn't. I was like, oh, I can't tell if he's looking for the the caret sign in the text or if he's looking for the greater than at the start of the thing. Especially with single quotes, because I always think of single quotes as like not expanding characters and stuff, but that's also thinking about variables versus special characters. So it's probably fine.
Yeah. It does what I
I mean,
expect
it's
it to
clearly
do.
working. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. And then, yeah, just again, it goes through and tells us and creates the file that eventually I'll be able to run. So we'll go ahead and run it now. So I'll go ahead and do, so we should not see the Asgard Labs clusters when I do the output here. So I do
Mhm.
bash cluster. Do you want me to do bash x dash x so you see everything or just run it?
Yeah, you do dash X as long as it's not going to paste out anything private you care about.
Oh, well, it already broke because I need to VPN in.
You need to be on the VPNs.
I do. Story of mine. Red alert. Red alert. Blue Pages is down. Trying to be funny. It's never worth it.
No, no,
It's really not.
didn't work.
Did not.
You should
Did
probably
not.
do a check for VPN.
Well, I mean, in essence, that's what it is, right? If it can't get to it, right? You know, maybe I should put that as one of my
Well,
sounds.
there's a difference between Blue Pages is down and you're not on the
Yeah,
intranet.
it's fine. All right, there
It's
we go.
fine.
So now we're getting all. Oh shit. Put up the screen. Privacy. Privacy screen's going while these email addresses are popping up. My bad. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's why. Yeah, you can kill it and get rid of the dash X if you want.
Okay. Ugh. Story of my life. Totally missed that. Sorry about that, everybody. You weren't supposed to see that.
It's all right.
Okay.
We'll edit it in post.
It's already gone. So there we go. Checks it and sees to make sure everyone's still there. It takes a handful of seconds here. It's because I'm talking about it. It takes longer. And while that is going, um, so that was a hard one. So if I go back for the VPC here, you'll notice it is very much the same. It figures out the VPC.
Hey, you could probably move those date commands up into common.
Oh, good point. Very good point. Um, then all I look for is um, that wasn't supposed to do what I was expecting to do. So then I look for whatever's been around longer than 90 days, and then I just output that because that's all what I've been able to figure out how to do. You're right. I really should put these in that comment, shouldn't I? Okay. So this was not supposed to happen because that was updated. So I need to figure out why that happened. But if I come over to this Nukem now,
Did you, did you get fired while we were on the stream? Is your name the one that shouldn't be there any longer?
knowing my luck, yeah, right. Um, so there we go. So as we see here, wait, that's not supposed to be there. Oh no.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Hang
Oh
on.
boy.
Yep. What did I do wrong here? Vim cluster is LT is less than
Yeah.
90 days, right? So I want this to be greater than 90 days
GT.
ago. Yeah, GT. If it is the start date, the created date greater than this. But why did Asgar show up?
Well, what would be stopping it from showing up?
It should be in the, if I do grep Asgar labs in the mail map. What? All right, hang on. Privacy.
Privacy screen.
Yep. Damn it.
Oh my God, you
Labs.
can't spell your own name.
I can't. Oh,
Look,
God.
look on, no, go back. Look under domains.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. Jesus. All right.
There he is.
Always on
Jeez.
brand. Always on brand. Always on brand.
Listen, I'm used to you not spelling things right, but your own damn name.
Oh, all right, let's try this again. Oh my God.
Hey, we like to keep things fresh around here.
It's true. It's all about a learning experience, right? It's all about a learning experience.
I guess it's doing a lookup for every email address. So that's
Yeah,
probably why it's taking time here.
yeah. It's a little bit. It's a little bit of a wait. I mean, it is doing a massive amount of curls,
Hmm.
but like, I mean, there's no way for me to know this. Like, I can't cache this information because I need to check every single time.
Right.
All right. So then cat cluster nukem. It's there again still. Huh. So why did that not work? Cluster message. So it should have skipped it.
Why should it have skipped it? Because
The identities right here, right? The identities should have matched the cluster name.
hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you
Take off the email or do
create
the.
a new identities file that is just you?
Mhm.
And that way we can do it with like a -X and actually see
Okay.
what's going on.
All right. So before I do that, I will go ahead and comment out the blue pages check because we don't need to do that anymore. And then I'll create my own mail map here. Or I'll just yank and then do JJ mail map. And then I should be able to do comment all this out because we don't need to worry about that anymore for this test. There we go.
I mean, you're only going to have one name. You're only going to have one name, so it doesn't really matter if it tests it. It'll be quick.
I guess it's true. I called it JJ mail right? Copy mail map to JJ mail map.yaml. I'm going to bring this over here real quick.
Privacy screen.
Well, I'll just leave this up real fast. So I should come back over here now. And then do bash-x cluster sh. That was a lot of information. Okay, so is this big? Hopefully this is big enough.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's probably too much to try and wrap our way through.
Is it not
but it's
deleting?
still...
Oh, damn it. It's not deleting the files. The files that we're writing, all these temp files, it's not deleting them. So that's the reason why
it should be making a new one each time, so it doesn't matter.
No, that's not what I was doing over here. Like, how else did it know about that?
If you look at your code, it's creating a new file each time.
Oh, I guess it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
It's doing make temp every time. So there's no reason it would be reading one of these that were already created.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Then how did it find those files, those names? Because it should only be that. No.
So can you run... Why don't you rerun it and output the standard out to a file, and we can look at the start of it and see what files and stuff it's actually opening.
Bash-x you can't put out to a file because it's standard error is all the pluses, if I'm correctly. So the way I got around that is
run script.
Yeah, well, actually, the way I did it, I just made the scroll back of these terminals indefinite.
No. Just run script.
Script. Like
that. Hit enter. Yeah, just hit enter. Right, and now run it. Okay. And then type exit. And then type less TypeScript.
No shit. I didn't know
you
this
don't know
command
script?
existed. No.
Oh my god.
Wow. I feel I've never used this before. Oh.
So there it is, creating those files. Right? And those are definitely being set. You can see the dates are being set.
Yes.
It is doing a YQ of the email addresses.
So that was supposed to see if this file is empty. That's the whole point of this thing. There's no email address in here. That's weird. So this didn't actually do what I was expecting it to do, which is unfortunate.
Right. So okay, so should it be saying looks like you need to delete some entries, or is this the first bug?
This is the first bug. Because that file should have nothing in it, and I thought -s sees if there's nothing in it, and then don't do anything. Right?
I'm trying to remember what -s test does.
Yeah, so there's no such file or directory there. So
does that directory exist at all?
Yes, that does. This is all the temp files. See, all the different temp files.
Oh yeah. Okay, and so that file doesn't exist at all, and so rerun. Do a let me think. So -s, I don't remember. Is Is it actually the bash test to say, does the file exist and is it empty?
I believe it's if it's empty. Where the hell is it? Oh, sorry. No.
Okay, yeah.
If it is not empty, I put it if it's not empty. Then I want you to output this because I want it. If it's empty, I want you to be yes true and skip this. But if it's not empty,
All right.
the whole point is it's supposed to be empty.
So -s is true if file exists and has a size greater than 0.
So I
So
need
you're
this.
trying to say, yes, you want this to be if -s.
Not -s.
You don't want the not. Because you're saying if it exists, then clearly you have some things to delete. That's right?
I think so.
Yes. And then, hang on, just go back to the script.
Yep.
And do like after the end of the if statement, do an exit, just so we can like break it here versus continue going on.
Okay. Yeah, good call. Oh, that worked. It did not break.
Nice. Okay. Wait. What? It still said looks like you have some clusters. It shouldn't be there.
Yeah, the clusters. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
This is the user. This is the mail map problem first. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if I run this one more time, we should not see, as you notice, I create that delete file just to keep track of it, right? We should see no delete file now. Yeah, there's no delete file. So that worked. So yeah, my logic was wrong there. Okay.
All right. Yeah, so you probably should have put that exit after the if. Anyway.
After the if?
You don't need it anymore, right?
Okay.
That was just for debugging. So
okay.
Just pull it out.
Got it. I'm with you.
All right.
All right. So I'm gonna do another script here. And then God, I can't believe I didn't know about this command. Run that again.
So the other thing you can do is you can pipe standard error to standard out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you do, if you just rerun that command, let's see if we can get it here. I think if you do 2 greater than,
oh god, the @ sign one
yeah,
thing to out.text.
Yeah, I think that's. Go ahead and run that and maybe not.
Yeah, no, it didn't work.
All right. Well, anyway.
How do I tell if I'm still in that script thing?
Good question.
Okay, there we go. I'm back in it. Okay. So if I do bash -x to cluster.sh, run that, then do exit. There we go. Now if I do less script. Okay, here we go. So making all the files, as you said, sees if we're doing it, figures out all the JSON, starts pulling the JSON, creates the CSV, reads it, check if the workers, anything is greater than 3, no. Everything looks fine so far. There's no clusters that have more than 3 workers. All right, so now we bring in the identities. And we should just have the one identity of JJ, but it is grabbing not This is not like this file right here is not the same as the one from the beginning, is it? Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
It's all a bunch of random strings to me.
So this should only have one inside of it, and it doesn't. So I have a feeling I have a spelling mistake in my script, because that's usually how what happens to me. Cluster.sh identities.
Yeah, identites.
Like that.
Yeah,
That's
that's not spelt right.
no.
I don't think. Identities. Or maybe
So
it is spelt right.
I spelt it with identity IDENTITES.
IES.
IES.
Yeah,
I
identities. But I mean, it only matters if you spelt it wrong in multiple places.
think I did. Identities.
Because if you misspelt it
There.
the same way everywhere, it shouldn't be the issue.
Oh.
You could also just call it IDs and completely reduce your chance of misspelling it. You just do like a reject, like a search and replace in the Vim.
yeah, I was going to come back over here. Identity.
Yeah, and then you could do the same again, but with the misspelling in case you've still got any that are still. Yeah.
Okay. And try this again.
How offended would you be if I said maybe your friend had it right and this should have been written in Python?
Not too offended actually. Um, I mean, this was just a proof of concept anyway. Nope, it's still getting the other file. Where the hell is this all coming
Can you check and see if it's grabbing the, let me think about this. So it's grabbing the mail map file, right? Is that the only file that it's grabbing? And the
Hang
rest
on.
are all temporary files it's creating?
Correct. So when it creates the identities, it checks against the IBM email temp file. And that is.
Oh, it's not getting all that stuff from the IBM Cloud command, is it?
What are you saying that I'm saying?
Well, so your IBM Cloud command is getting all of your clusters.
Yes. And then it creates the list of the clusters. But then what still needs to parse the mail map file to tell us where all the different identities are. And that's what I was looking for.
But isn't it checking your one identity and the identity against each of the clusters in the cluster file? Isn't that why there was that super long list of
But there should
things?
only be the tests that we do because we created that JJ mail map. Oh, ha!
Mm-hmm.
God damn it! There it is.
Ah,
Ah, God, fucking damn it.
right. So you probably want that JJ mail map to be a variable.
Yep, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
And in fact, if you do that at the top, if you do mail map equals, and then do dollar open curly brace mail map colon dash open quote mail map dot YAML, and get rid of the space. And where you did mail map, actually make that capitals. Not there. Yeah.
Like
So
that.
what this is doing is it's setting the variable mail map
Mm-hmm.
to be the contents of the variable mail map. And if that doesn't exist,
Oh,
using the string mail map.yaml.
nice.
So that means if you set an environment variable, mail map equals blah, and then run the script, it'll use your environment variable. If not, it will use that.
Nice.
So
And
hang
what
on, you need
is?
to update where you
Yep. Yep.
reference it.
So then we can come down to here and delete this line and then change our percent %s mail map.yaml to mail or mail map like that.
Sure. And then you just need to find this guy and remove the JJ from it.
All right.
And
So
I
then
think that should do it.
mail map equals JJ mail map to bash dash x cluster.sh. Oh, I think that was significantly better now. Yeah, there we go. That's what we wanted to see. All right. So so now cat cluster nukem. Asgard Labs is still in there. So why did that not match? Oh my god, what the hell?
What's that?
230? That can't be right. Why is it 230 lines? Oh god. Okay. All right. Well, I've gotten pretty deep already, and
Yeah.
I think
So
mhm.
finish off what you were going to say, and then I'll
Yeah.
jump in.
I've learned a ton here. Legit, I have. I need to come back and clean some things up. I definitely need to pull some of those things out of comment or out of the top of the files and put them in common. But I have made significant leaps and bounds here with your help, Paul. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. So I guess here's my commentary on where you're at. Is you're spending more time fighting Bash's ability to manipulate data than you are writing useful code.
Yeah.
And that to me is saying you probably at some point need to reach to something that's going to handle that data manipulation stuff better in a way that's a little bit easier for you to read and understand what's going on.
So
For
awk.
instance, like that dash s test.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this was in Python, it would have been if file.exist blah, or if os.file, whatever the thing. But like it'd be pretty obvious what it's doing, other than dash s, which like if you're super into bash, you're gonna know what that means. But if you're not super into bash, you're not gonna know what that means.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that that is just piling up on top of itself, and the way that you're, using temporary files as effectively like dictionaries or
Mm-hmm.
arrays. It's probably another sign that maybe you're at the point where something like Python or something similar would make more sense.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Now, did you want me to quickly take you through the Ansible stuff I was talking
Oh,
about?
yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So
Hang on.
if you unshare your screen and you tell me how to share into that screen sharing thing.
Uh, how about we just can you copy this stuff up onto the Tmux box and show it there?
Uh,
No.
it would be easier to.
Yeah, I don't.
You
I
know, why
don't.
don't I just hit? Why don't I hit the screen share button here
No, I don't
and
have.
see
I
what
don't.
happens?
I don't have a scene inside of OBS. That's. Oh wait, hold on. Maybe I do. Hang on. No, I don't. I haven't built it yet. I
So
have
what?
the. I have the scene written out, but I haven't actually put any
Right. So
sources in
what?
it.
How are you sharing the window?
It's just my desktop. My
Right, but
desktop
like
phone.
you're sharing it into OBS, and you're sharing it into OBS Ninja, right?
Yeah, just so you can see what I'm doing.
Oh, you're not capturing it from there.
No, no.
Right. Okay, I see what your issue is. Um, Let me think about.
Welcome
All right.
to OBS Ninja Chat, where we talk about doing things in OBS
Right.
Ninja live.
Why don't we leave this as an exercise for next week then? And
Yeah.
maybe I'll take you through what I have in this repo, what I've done, how I've done it, and sort of how I've modeled a bunch of tasks in Ansible
Mm-hmm.
that are just calling like a CLI tool,
Mm-hmm.
and then turn that model and sort of turn that into an actual Ansible module to do that work instead of being random tasks.
Yeah. And,
And I
and
should
maybe
be able to talk through that.
nice. And maybe we can get Kevin to join us for a portion of it too, which would be nice little. We can get a nice little pair
Oh, I'm sure.
programming too.
I'm sure we scared Kevin off at this point.
Nice. Nice. All right.
Hey,
Well,
Mike, what did we teach you? I missed when Mike said we taught him something. He learned something.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
that's dirty. I learned something. Oh, Windows Remote Desktop.
No.
Right.
The file name replacement default. Nice. Nice. That was a yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That is something I use so much. When I learned that little trick, my mind was blown, and now it's like basically every script I use has that. And what's cool is you can tie that together with the bash like argv stuff. What's basically the bash way to handle command line arguments?
Oh, it gets get ops, isn't it?
Yeah,
GETOPT.
so you can tie that in pretty well with getops, where you grab a bunch of stuff from getops and then you pass them through that environment variable thing, and you end up with basically, if there's an environment variable, it ends up overriding whatever's in there. Otherwise, it uses a default, and so you get like a really nice flow of like argument. What do you call it? Precedence.
Mm, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Cool. All right.
And that's actually a way if I have the idea for like a CLI, and I don't want to spend a bunch of time writing the Go for it. Like especially like a CLI that wraps other stuff. A few times I've written a CLI that will like wrap Ansible commands, and I'll just model that with Bash with getops and the environment variables, figure my way through like a proof of concept of it, decide it's useful, and then I'll rewrite it in like Go with Cobra.
Nice. Yeah, I really need to get that
Yeah.
workflow down. God knows I don't use it.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, I guess I think we're done. I think we're done for today. Yeah. I guess we'll be back next week. Thanks all for sticking around. Thank you, Paul.
No, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you that you need to be better. Because that's one of my favorite things.
It's so true. It's so true.
To tell you with all the love in my heart and a little bit of troll that you made bad life choices.
That's right. All right. Bye, Paul.
Bye.